Welcome to this explainer. Today we're stepping directly into the reading room. Our main focus? We're going to discuss the precise indications for plain radiographs of joints and really dig in to describe the characteristic radiographic findings of some of the most common articular disorders. Whether you're assessing a patient in the clinic or reviewing films on the wards, interpreting joint x-rays is an absolutely fundamental skill, and today we're going to master it together.
Okay, here's our game plan. We'll start with the ground rules, exactly when you should be reaching for an x-ray, and then we'll systematically break down the radiographic hallmarks of the big four: osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, and gout. Let's get to it.
Before we even look at a single disease, we have to lay down the baseline rules of the light box.
Because, we don't just x-ray every single aching joint that walks into the clinic. That's a super common pitfall. We need solid clinical indications. We're looking for things like a history of trauma, suspected chronic infection, progressive disability, maybe a strictly monarticular involvement, or just needing a baseline assessment for a known chronic process. Those specific scenarios are what actually justify ordering a plain film to hunt for structural issues. It's cost-effective, and it perfectly sets the stage for everything else.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. You have to know what an x-ray can and cannot do. They are absolutely fantastic for assessing long-term structural damage. We're talking long-term cartilage loss and bony abnormalities over time. However, their major limitation: they are often completely normal in cases of early, acute inflammatory arthritis. If a joint is actively inflamed but the bone hasn't literally been eaten away yet, the plain film won't show it. That's exactly where you'd pivot to an MRI or an ultrasound, which are far superior for looking at soft tissue.
All right, let's jump into our first major articular disorder, osteoarthritis, the classic wear and tear disease. Since OA is fundamentally a mechanical, non-inflammatory degeneration of the joint cartilage, there are very specific cardinal features you're hunting for. Because that cartilage wears down mechanically, usually right where the most weight or stress hits, you're going to see non-uniform joint space narrowing. Then the underlying bone rubs together and becomes dense and bright white. That's subchondral, eburnation, or sclerosis. You'll also see the joint trying to stabilize itself by forming marginal osteophytes, those classic bony spurs, throw in some subchondral cysts, and maybe the distinct gull wing sign if you're dealing with erosive OA in the hands, and you've got your diagnosis.
It's actually striking how clearly these features pop up in real life. Look at the knees and hips here. The marginal osteophytes, those little bony projections right at the edges of the joints, are impossible to miss. And you can clearly see that classic non-uniform joint space narrowing. In the knee, the space might be entirely wiped out on the medial side, but it's still somewhat preserved on the lateral side. You see the exact same targeted wear and tear in the hands, specifically hitting the distal and proximal interphalangeal joints. And this comparison is just a brilliant illustration of how our imaging tools work together. The plain x-ray shows us that telltale medial joint space narrowing and a few bony spurs, right? So we strongly suspect the cartilage is gone. But then the MRI confirms it. It shows a complete denuded loss of cartilage right down to the bare bone in that exact same spot. The x-ray gives us the structural shadow, while the MRI reveals the undeniable soft tissue reality.
Okay, shifting gears completely, let's look at rheumatoid arthritis, which is a totally different beast driven by symmetrical autoimmune destruction.
Since RA is a systemic autoimmune disease that aggressively attacks the synovium lining the joints, you might expect massive early destruction. But surprisingly, the very first radiographic warning sign is actually quite subtle. It's periarticular osteopenia, a localized, subtle loss of bone density right around the inflamed joint. The local inflammation literally causes the bone to thin out before any actual erosions happen. It can be super tricky to spot on a standard digital film, but it is absolutely your first major clue. Now, as RA progresses over months and years, that inflamed synovial tissue, the pannus, literally eats into the bone and cartilage, creating some very classic advanced findings. Unlike the non-uniform wear of OA, the joint space loss in RA is uniform and symmetrical. You're going to find marginal subchondral erosions, juxta-articular osteoporosis, severe soft tissue swelling, and eventually devastating joint subluxation and collapse. And this whole destructive process frequently targets the small joints of the hands and wrists. Take a really close look at these hands. You can see that uniform, symmetrical joint space loss right away. The bones look like they are practically stacked directly on top of each other across the board. And right at the edges of those joints, specifically the carpi and MCP joints, you can clearly see these devastating subchondral erosions. The autoimmune process has quite literally taken bites out of the bone.
Let's move away from the limbs and focus on the axial skeleton to discuss ankylosing spondylitis, the disease of inflammatory spinal fusion.
Ankylosing spondylitis is an inflammatory disorder that fundamentally and permanently alters spinal architecture. The progression you see on an x-ray tells a very rigid story. It almost always kicks off with advanced bilateral sacroiliitis. As that chronic inflammation moves up the spine, it causes the anterior corners of the vertebrae to erode and then sclerose, creating this classic anterior squaring of the vertebral bodies. Eventually, the body tries to heal this constant inflammation by laying down new bone, creating bridging syndesmophytes that span the intervertebral discs, culminating in a bamboo spine appearance. You'll also frequently spot enthesitis with periosteal reaction.
Just notice how incredibly dramatic this architectural change is. In the lumbar spine, those bridging syndesmophytes, the vertical calcifications literally jumping from one vertebra to the next, create that highly restrictive, solid bamboo look. The spine has essentially fused into one continuous, inflexible block of bone, and if you check out the pelvis, you can see that advanced bilateral sacroiliitis, where the SI joints are completely sclerosed and heavily fused together.
Finally, we have to talk about gout, famous for its agonizing crystals and distinct erosions.
Gout is an incredibly painful crystal-induced arthritis that, as we know, most commonly strikes the big toe. So here's a question for you. If a patient comes into your clinic with a red, hot, swollen joint that is exquisitely, agonizingly painful to even the lightest touch, classic acute gout, what do you expect to see when you throw their plain film up on the light box?
Well, surprisingly enough, the answer is usually nothing. During those early acute flares, the X-ray is typically entirely normal, aside from maybe a little bit of hazy soft tissue swelling. The monosodium urate crystals are unleashing a massive inflammatory storm in the fluid and soft tissue, sure, but they simply haven't had the time to physically destroy the bone yet.
However, if that gout goes untreated and transitions into chronic tophaceous gout, the story changes completely. Over years, those urate crystals accumulate into large masses called tophi. These tophi carve out very distinct, well-demarcated, rounded or oval punched-out erosions in the bone. They typically have thick sclerotic margins and a highly characteristic overhanging bony edge, which we call the Martel sign. You'll also clearly see large visible soft tissue swellings where those tophi actually sit.
But check this out. While plain X-rays only show us the bone damage left behind, evolving technology is completely changing the game. This is an advanced dual-energy CT scan. Unlike a plain radiograph, this tech can actually chemically code the tissue. That bright area you see highlighted around the lateral malleolus? That is the exact deposit of monosodium urate crystals forming a tophus mass. We aren't just looking at the damaged bone anymore, we are looking right at the culprit.
Which brings us to a pretty fascinating final thought. With the rapid rise of highly sensitive MRI, powered Doppler ultrasound, and dual-energy CT, we are getting incredibly good at visualizing early cellular inflammation and specific crystal deposits long before bone gets destroyed. So it really makes you wonder, how long will it be before we completely stop waiting for permanent structural bone damage to finally appear on a plain X-ray? Will the traditional light box soon become a relic of the past in rheumatology? It's a huge shift in how we see disease. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep those clinical eyes sharp, and I'll catch you next time.